What's happening, everyone? Welcome in. Hope you're doing fantastically well. Today's lesson isn't a lesson. This is actually the entire clinic that I did a few weeks ago down in Bristol. We set up a couple of GoPros. I've got all the footage back finally. So I thought it'd be a great opportunity to just put up a video, a full-length clinic. You can see it. You can see what I talk about in clinics, how it's different from my lessons online. So let's get to it. Here we go. Thank you all for coming. In case anyone doesn't know, my name is Dave Major, which is a rather conveniently musical name. Drum
My
major.
name's Kyle Treble, so there you go.
Ah man, look at this. So first things first, let's just give a big round of applause for AJ. That was actually his first clinic. He smashed it, he did really well. Yeah, so thanks for all for coming. You're all here because you love drums, / really like AJ, / have a vague interest in what I do. If anyone doesn't really know what I do, I kind of made my name doing, and I continue to do, online drum lessons. I was the guy that wrote down everyone's other stuff, so all the licks, and now I've started my own channel on YouTube, shameless plug. If you don't follow me, please do subscribe, it really does help, like the video, all that sort of stuff. My kind of, how many people have been to a drum clinic besides this one? Loud and proud. That's just praise the Lord. One. How many people have been to one other drum clinic? How many people have been to 5 other drum clinics? How many have you been to?
I don't know.
Like 10,
20.
like loads, right? Okay, so it's because you and I love drums, and we go to drum clinics because we want to learn. Because there's meant to be a secret at these drum clinics, isn't there? That's why we all come. Because apparently, if you come, that one drummer will tell you the secret to why they're so good and why you're not so good. Basically, that's what I thought until I went to a lot of these drum clinics, and I was like, my questions aren't getting answered. The answers I was getting didn't satisfy me. So I spent many, many years and hours in the practice room developing practice systems. You notice I have a practice diary for that very reason. So I have kind of systems for practicing every single thing. They do go even further than 256 variations. And I'm very careful today not to just bombard you with the 1 million variations of one idea. So I'm going to do 2 things. First, I'm going to play a track because it makes sense. And in that track, I'm going to demo something. And I'm actually going to say that within a margin of error of 10%, it will be pretty much the same idea for the entire track. And the first idea I'm going to talk about is a basic one. It's called orchestration. So I'm going to play this track and then see if you can pick up on the idea and see if anyone can tell me what it is. If you can tell me exactly what it is, then you get a practice diary. Why not? I'm feeling generous. This is a track from the internet. So no, I didn't play on it.
Yeah.
is one of those songs. It's from a website called Epidemic Sound, and if anyone is mad into the YouTube and you watch other YouTubers, not drummers, you'll hear them talk about it. It's basically this website where you get royalty-free music and you sign up. The great thing for drummers is that they all come as stems. If you don't know what stems are, it's basically just like, it's not the full stems, but it's drums, bass, instruments, and vocals. So if you want a drumless track to play along to that is an actual song with a singer, that's what you need to do, then it's a great tool, and it's only £10 a month. Not sponsored, not this part at least. Okay, so, anyone catch the idea?
Play for the song.
No, but yes. That is the whole thing. Play for the song, no matter what the song is, play for the song. As a bonus prize, can anyone tell me what the drummer's job is?
Time.
No. I'll tell you why. Hand up if you have a friend who, no matter how hard you try, does not turn up on time. If you don't have that friend, that person is you. So. Anyone got a friend like that?
Yeah.
Yeah. You cannot make someone else play in time. It's really impossible with your own time. It is there's their job to play in time on their instrument. So your job as a drummer is not to play time. Because if I do this, right? Time is happening. Whatever tempo that is, it's there. It's still happening no matter what the singer, whatever that tempo is still. So you can't just play time all the time because that's not your job all the time. One of my pet peeves, just while we're in ranty mode, is when you play, and if you don't play with a band, you'll get this. You play with a band and the singer requires you to count the band in and do this. But you don't play for the intro, the verse, the first chorus, the second chorus, you only play right at the end, and you sound 4 minutes different. So your job is not to play time for everyone else. What is your job as a drummer? Let's try this. Someone should be doing that. Someone somewhere. There you go. Your job is to make people dance. You make people dance by playing grooves and consistent grooves, hopefully in time, but doesn't always have to be, and playing for the song. Anyway, did anyone catch the idea now I've rabbled and made you forget?
Playing the accents 1, 2, and.
No, that would be this. Which it wasn't. It's close though, close.
Was it playing a paradiddle followed by an inverted paradiddle?
Get a manufacturer's diary. Hey, there we go. Correct, so that is purely based around, actually let me just grab this up and I will show you. Obviously this song can be played a million different ways, it's just I chose to play this particular groove with it to demonstrate this one particular idea. The idea is orchestration, so I played that idea for the whole song. Because AJ already asked the question I was going to ask. Cheers, dude. Has anyone ever been frustrated by their own inability to play anything interesting, any interesting grooves, or bored of the grooves and fills they play? Let's all do this. Some group therapy. Yep, there we go. So the reason for that is, yes, maybe you do need to learn more stuff. Maybe you do need to learn more stuff. But I'm going to guarantee that probably you don't. You know enough stuff. You have a wheelbarrow full of nonsense and you just inevitably shove it onto people's music. The stuff you know, you can move further around the drum kit, obviously, to create different shapes, and you can develop it further with just a couple of different ideas. Now, in the past, I have been very guilty of bombarding clinics with so many ideas that I get very glazed faces, and everyone's just like, oh, can't drive home afterwards. So orchestration, and what I want to do is I'm going to deal with orchestration not on a fill context, because that's the common way, but in a groove context. So let's take the 3 main elements of a groove. If I was going to ask anybody to come up and play a groove, where would your hands go? So groove position number 1, kick, snare, hats, right? So obviously we have kick, bass drum, if you're partially unlike me, snare drum, hi-hats. Now, bass drum, we're kind of limited unless you have a massive double pedal kit and you have like extra bass drums and stuff. But let's deal with a hi-hat. We've got a hi-hat here. We're going to play that right, left, right, right, left, right, right, left idea, which was right, left, right, right, left, right, right, left, which is a paradiddle followed by inverted paradiddle side B, as I call it. And I just played 3 and 4 and at the end. So the groove, in its essence, was this. So what was the first thing I did? Besides playing it there. Because I wasn't in groove position number 1. You know, tell me? I played the whole thing on the hi-hat. So I started a song, I built the song by starting on the hi-hat. So instead of going even then, I didn't do this. Or even cardinal song number 2, which is
Sounds amazing.
so not. I mean, they're beautiful, beautiful hi-hats, but they do not sound amazing when you play like that. Dynamics, which will be the second point, is also a really key part of playing grooves and playing music and developing it. So I played the accents in the first note. So I developed this shape of da, 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 by the way, the clave, da, 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 and, which is more important, playing for the song because I used the melody of the intro guitar to play that. So I'm going to take that groove, right? And I will actually just show you that just now. Yeah, we'll do this just very quickly, coming out of the main speakers. This might be a bit loud, but check it. Remember that melody? Hear it? So I'm not just playing time, which I could easily play this groove like this. Which is fine. Like, you could play that straight down the middle, like be the rock for the band. But there's all this musical information coming at you. So think of all the bands that you play in, and all the metal. So a big part of metal is to orchestrate the parts of the other instruments. So you don't just play like I did when I first played metal for like 20 minutes and then get really tired. Taking different elements of the song and orchestrating it around your drum kit or creating rhythms out of it is super important to create new ideas. So you can all play roughly this groove, right? So the only thing I did in the bridge section was go but I didn't do this. I did this. So that tone, that snare drum tone that you're really looking for, you have 10, 20, 30 tones out of your actual snare drum. If you just change where you hit it on one instrument. And that's not the orchestration, that's the orchestration I'm talking about, not the It's nice, it's cool. But choosing the sounds based upon what your instruments can make. So edges of hi-hats, the snare drum there. I did that for the whole chorus, and then I went straight back to that, so the song now had a shape, this generic song you've definitely heard but definitely haven't heard, went like this. And then I went up to the ride cymbal, classic. That was, I think, what I would class as the second chorus. Then what did I do in the guitar solo? I played one note, not on the hi-hat, but on the snare drum, so I actually got a normal backbeat groove. So the song's going, got a little lift, all from where you change, and I've got one groove. I probably wouldn't play this song like this, I'd probably play it way straighter. But at least I've got these options when someone says, can you do something different? Can you develop it further? Can you lift the song? Almost instinctively. Then in the breakdown section, same groove on the toms. And then finally in the breakdowny verse, So, generic song number one idea orchestrated. So, how many songs do you play in a gig?
10.
And in those songs, you might have 3 grooves per song, so there's 30 grooves. But if you just chose some different ideas, different positions, unorthodox positions, not the positions that everyone does, not groove position number 1, but groove position number 73. Maybe you wouldn't need to know 200 grooves. Maybe you only need to know 10 or 1, and you can play a song in a gig, and you can serve the music. Because realistically, your job as a drummer is to shape the song, give the feel, to make people dance. And sometimes changing the groove doesn't do that. Sometimes changing the way, the place you play these grooves does. So with that in mind, I'm going to do another song. I've decided against the drum solo because I'm really not very good at them. So I'm going to do another song, and this is from a band that I currently play in. And it's a similar idea. And I'm also going to do some more drum showy things. So some chops and stuff. Anyone play this groove, or have heard this groove, or seen this groove written down? Baddest groove ever. All I'm doing is I'm taking it and I'm playing this. It's a bit Bill Withers. That's a bit Gavin Harrison. So I'm going far. Hopefully, but like a really poor imitation. This song is by a band, a sort of singer-songwriter prog thing that I play for, of a yet unreleased but very, very long ago recorded album. That, as artists tend to do, he's procrastinating, and he's procrastinating, and he's remixing, and he's re-recording, and it's never coming out. But I hope it's coming out, because I actually really like the music. This one is called Falling Down, and here it is. sound like a chipmunk, but for some reason, today in Bristol, he sounds like a chipmunk. Okay, orchestration, 16th note groove, you all play it. Play around the drums. Now, we're going to have some fun, or a bit more fun. I'm going to talk about dynamics, which, rather ironically, are in a very loud room. Dynamics are not just, I'm playing as loud as I can. So, what are dynamics? Can you tell me what dynamics are?
When you're playing loud or quiet,
We're getting close, we're getting close. Dynamics are actually the difference between the louds and quiets. So if you're playing dynamically, you're playing with the louds and quiets, kind of like what AJ was demonstrating.
yeah.
So you notice in the song as well, the song had a dynamic. Now it's a loud rock song, played through a big PA in a very loud room. It's going to be loud, even within that, the dynamic of the song changed with the instrumentation that came in, and my drumming went with that. So I'm going to take one idea, what I actually believe to be the most important idea on the drum set. And it's 3 notes, right, left, kick. Hands up if you've played this, slash wanted to play this, slash done this before. Machine for you. That is the bottom fill, which for any drum nerds out there, he actually stole rather liberally from Max Roach. And it's cool, I guess. I've heard it a million times. It was cool in like the 60s. And there has to be so much more that we can do with that. So, I also have a system. See, drum teachers have systems because it's easier to market. You can make books out of it, practice diaries. However, one of the points on my systems, one of my general ideas is dynamics. So let's take right, left, kick, okay? And I'm going to say that we have to play the kick drum. Now when you're playing a kick drum, a big kick drum like this, sounds nice and big, we kind of want it to be open. We want it to be big, and if you play it softly, it's alright, but we kind of have to play the whole thing. So let's leave the kick drum where it is. How many options do we have for the remaining 2 hands with the dynamics? Any maths whiz in there? Going to be your misery, it's not 200. It's not even close to 88. There's only 4 options. All quiet, all loud, right hand loud, left hand loud. Now, I'm going to take that, I'm going to play it between 2 instruments. Sorry, man. So I didn't notice it when my snails were off, but. Okay, cool. I'm kind of digging it. What if we played around with just all of them quiet or all of them loud? Now I'm going to improvise. There's a whole system for improvising. It's a lot easier to improvise. Hands up, anyone here who has trouble improvising, struggles with improvisation, struggles how to practice improvisation without it just being mindless noodling. Yeah? So it's one of those weird things, and that is one of the most frustrating questions I've never got answered from anyone else. So I've created a whole thing around it. Basically what you have to do is you have to apply restrictions to yourself. So I'm going to improvise using only all of them quiet or all of them loud. I just want you to see how much music I can make. Verses. Cool, faster, I can play this. And I would say that the second one, in my opinion, sounds way more musical, sounds more interesting. And actually, hopefully some of your musical brains are kicking into gear and like, well actually that could be a fill that I use that I just don't sound like I've ripped off. Davidian was my reference of any Machine Head fans out there, but Bonham, Max Roach. But what about if we introduce the cool ones, which is 1 loud, 1 quiet, and the other one. So 1 loud, 1 quiet, we'll give you this with 1 orchestration. Or, so you get this. faster. Faster. With some unorthodox orchestrations. Now, hands up if you heard this groove.
50 ways to leave your lover.
Drummer. Drummer is?
Steve Gadd.
Yeah. Well done. Mr. A really good teacher. Really good teacher.
No, I just.
No. No, mate. From the mouth of babes. Anyway, so, very famous groove, and I struggled with it, most drummers struggle with it, and they learn it as, like AJ said, this thing. It just exists in its own thing. It is actually a variation of right, left kick, you invert it, left kick, right, left, flip sticking, kick, left, right. You substitute bass drum for the left foot, and you orchestrate. Simple ideas developed to create timeless grooves that we still. How old are you?
9.
Cool. How old is Steve Gadd? Anyone? 70, 100 million years old. When was this recorded? That song was recorded early 70s? Yeah? Even I wasn't born then, man. I'm getting pretty old. We still want to learn it because it's a cool groove, but it's based around simple ideas. Orchestrated, played dynamically. No. Yeah? And played around the kit to develop different feels, different grooves and things that can be timeless. Now, that 6-stroke roll that AJ was playing, I'm just going to riff on that. I'm not going to mess around with the inversions like AJ did. But how many of you play this? You see the practice pad, man.
Yeah, man.
You steal it.
Bill Standards practice pad.
Also, conveniently, I forgot to ask or tell you that I'm going to ask questions and expect to read questions. So this is your chance while I'm setting this up slowly, deliberately, to think of some questions. Like I said, my shtick, my niche in this market is actually practice. So if you have any questions on practice and struggles, and if you do not fancy asking a question, don't worry. We'll be around. I'm in Bristol all day tomorrow, so just come find me. I'll put my GPS on. You can find me wherever I am. So 6-stroke roll. Everyone plays this. Oh, now I play this. Have you ever not played it with 2 accents? Shake your head, shake your head. Why not? Where in the rule books does it say that you have to play a 6-stroke roll with 2 accents? The 6-stroke roll is just a sticking, which has a single, followed by 2 sets of doubles, or 4 doubles, followed by a single. It can play with no accents. It's even cooler. And then with an unorthodox orchestration. That might sound awful, but I'll try it. No. Which is great. It's great for those big rock endings. But there's got to be more to it. And if you distill everything down, it becomes right, left kick, and it becomes singles and doubles. And all you take away from today is that the thing you learn in that book, in that copy of Rhythm magazine, and that dude online, of which I am one of, there are so many more options out there. And actually, you don't need, realistically, to buy all the stuff or to learn everything. You need to learn certain things deeply and develop them fully. Now, I'm playing on a 5-piece kit. my ears pricked up when you said you played metal, so I'm going to say you're probably not playing it on a 5-piece kit. You might have more sounds. You might have bigger toms, you might have smaller toms, you might have electronics, you might have this thing. Develop it in your own. Unorthodox things like, am I allowed to do this? I don't know. Can you do that? Well, what about if you played right, left kick, or used the left foot, and then this was your right? Sounds terrible, who cares? Alright. There you go. Or I'll go left. There you go. How do you do that? I'll practice at home. Just explore. The drum kit is this incredible instrument that does so many crazy sounds beyond what that guy on the internet, that blonde Boris Johnson looked like guy on the internet tells you to do. So you don't need a ream of ideas. You just need a system that works. AJ's got his, I've got mine. So many other people have theirs. I hope you've enjoyed this little spiel of utter mouth diarrhea. It's been a long day. It's been a long day. Does anyone have any questions on literally absolutely anything? Doesn't even have to be related to drums. Or has AJ answered all your questions so well that I can just go home?
How do you get your bass drum pedal technique faster and more consistent?
How long have we got, AJ?
Long enough.
Long enough. I'm going to answer with a very general answer, and then I'll give you a couple of ideas. Why do you want to play faster bass drum?
Not necessarily faster like metal, but more like consistent, say 3 notes in a row.
Okay.
Like I always struggle, I can do doubles, but 3 in a row, I always struggle.
Okay. So do I. Partially because 3 in a row isn't the most useful thing I've found in my line of drumming. Everything you learn ties into the practice diary. Thanks, man. The practice diary is laid out. Pass one round if you want. I'm playing my last song. In my stage 1, stage 2, stage 3 bass system. So I equate music. You've all have heard this. That music is a language. Yeah. So that got me thinking. Again, this idea that most of my questions haven't been answered, so I've had to find the answers that satisfy me. It was music is a language. So how do I learn a language? Well, the first thing I would learn is I would learn all the words. Right? Then I would learn to put some very crude sentences together, some exercises. And then I would try to improvise. So foot technique is an overall thing. No matter what you're trying to learn, and literally could be the answer to any question, you've got to learn it on a technical front, kind of on the practice pad, but also from a mechanical ins and outs, put it together. And then you've got to deliberately try it. Make a fill using a 6-root roll. Make a groove that's really literally got 3s on the bass drum. Learn other people's stuff. So a really famous groove with 3s on the bass drum is Ain't Nobody Shaka Khan. That song? Boom. This goes, I want E. So that's the only one I can think that's got 3. Now he's playing it heel down.
Right.
Really soft, the bass drum, the mics are doing all the work. So you would think that would have to be muscled out and stuff. And then you've got to improvise with it. You've got to improvise because that's how you learn to speak with this stuff. So, no matter what you're trying to learn, work on some exercises to develop it, work on some really clear examples of the stuff that you want to play, and then literally sit down with a click track or a track and try to use that one thing, which is 3s on the bass drum, as quick as possible, as many times as possible. The reason for that is that if you work on only exercises, which I did for a long time, you know lots of stuff. Maybe you can do lots of things at certain beats a minute. And then if you learn lots of other people's stuff, like grooves with 3s or 2s, or Bonham grooves, for example, for 2s, then you know other people's stuff you haven't created. So how can you use it on the gig or in the musical situation? But you can't do what I call stage 2, which is the direct application, easy for me to say, without working on the technique. So I like to have a balance. So I would work on some exercises, going to give you something that I really like. Then I would learn lots of proper grooves at slower tempos and work them up. And then I would just try to sit with 5 minutes, the fun part, and use 3s. Because when you go, I don't know, 1, 2, the 4's there. I'm not thinking, that's like a perpetual motion machine. Once it's going, and I don't have to think. Whereas if I access it from a different part of my brain, like I'm speaking, like we're having a conversation. Yeah, so you don't want to only play 3s in a specific groove at a specific tempo with a specific song in your specific room, because there's neurological elements to go with like where you learn stuff and things like that. So if you can almost cheat your brain and learn it in many different ways, you'll find it a lot easier to use. My favourite ideas. For threes, make a groove. That was kind of fun. This one's cool. Oh yeah, the really good one I really like. How many of you have been to the cinema? How many of you sat through that? You know what I mean? Right? So it's like a group of three followed by a group of three with a gap, group of four with a gap. But it's a killer bass drum exercise, it's a killer hand exercise. To answer your question that you probably have in your head, which is how long should I do that for and at what tempo? How long? Your brain can only concentrate on one thing for 5 minutes. Like one specific exercise. So do it as a maximum of 5 minutes, but your brain, if you're 9, no offense, big man, you won't be able to concentrate for 5 minutes on one exercise. I can barely concentrate on one exercise for 5 minutes, and I've been playing drums twice as long as you've been alive. So I would do 2 minutes. Kitchen timer is an awesome thing. You can get like one's £1 at IKEA. Don't raid your mums, you might need it for cooking. Don't raid your dads, you might need it for cooking as well. And then do it for that length of time every day that you practice. And then, what tempo should you start? The tempo that you find it sounds really, really good at. And then add 5 beats a minute. Now that might be 40, in which case, get an app, put on all the metronome, all the subdivisions going, and just work on that. And then the reason that I said balance it is because that is monotonous and boring and dull, and it's like looking at yourself in your birthday suit in the mirror and going, that's not cool, I don't like that, I don't like that, and I don't like that. So you've got to play at the end, you've got to practice at the end with some improvisation to show yourself that I'm actually quite a good drummer and I'm not absolutely terrible. Another one I like is 1, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3. But it sounds really easy once you get it going. Years and years of it. So I developed foot speed because my heroes have really fast feet, and I play a single pedal because it was good enough for Jojo. It's definitely good enough for me, and I just didn't have the patience for all the metal stuff. Just didn't. Wasn't very good at it. So it takes time, and the only other thing on foot technique is that unfortunately there's 2 ways to play the bass drum. Heel down, heel up. And if you play off the bass drum, what you're doing is you're playing a heel up stroke and then rolling down after you've hit the stroke, not this, which took me ages to work out. You roll down a heel down stroke. So it's unlike your hands where there's so many mechanical things going on. It's lots of like just do it for extended periods of time and make it really, really good at slow speed and speed up. Answer your question?
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyone else?
At some stage, it's got an electric drum kit at the moment. At some stage, we're going to go acoustic and we're going to move out. Caravan somewhere, Marsden.
Yeah, get a concrete bunker. That's what I've got. No windows. That's where I live.
Seriously, what tips are there for getting the first acoustic drum kit?
Obviously, your budget's dependent on what you have available. So, full disclosure, Natal and Dorsey, I think they make great drums. So this is like a £1,000 drum kit, and this is like a pro level kit. Once you get to that level, it's much of a muchness, and then you go up a tier, you add about £2,000, you get into pretty much the custom stuff. Get one that looks really damn cool, because the moment you walk past it, it has to inspire you to play it. Get one that will last for as long as you think, because like if you spend, let's say, £600 on a drum kit, that's a lot of money, and you don't want to, in a year, spend £1,000 on a drum kit. It's better to just wait a little bit longer. Full disclosure, I practice on an electric kit. So make the electric kit as big as your acoustic kit would be. You ever notice that when you go and practice an acoustic or play an acoustic kit, it seems a lot bigger than what your electric kit is. Space those toms. Like a pad is like that on electric kits. So unless you play two 8-inch toms over a 12-inch bass drum, your drum kit isn't this big. So you just space it out so then the transition isn't any bigger. Buy one that you think's cool. Because once you get to a certain price point, all drums are pretty good. They're way better than when I started or when I got my sort of second kit. And 100% move out. Or maybe the silent heads. I'm a big fan of the silent heads and the quiet cymbals, because then you can have another set of cymbals to put on for your gigs, and you just swap out the heads to go to gigs. But yeah, as long as, obviously being 9, you'll be quite small, and you probably won't get very tall for a long time, so you can get little 18-inch bass drums, little 20 would probably do it. And then just choose one that's, just look at drum catalogs. That's what Adrian and I used to do. Rhythm magazine was, rest in peace. Like just all the shiny drums and all the cool stuff. All the drums in the world won't make you a good drummer. That's just for him. Anyone else have any questions on anything? Yeah.
Just on during practice, I think something I've been struggling with is after going through a particular pattern or an exercise and kind of doing all the inversions, feeling comfortable with it, and then trying to apply it to the drum kit, I struggle with like flow. I'll kind of, for a bit it sounds great, and then I'll try something and that doesn't sound very good, and I stumble, and I know obviously like repeating it over and over again is going to make it better, but is there any way that you specifically practice flow with
Absolutely.
exercise?
So, have you ever practiced mobility exercises?
Off the drum kit, do you mean?
Like on the drum kit? Advantage of electric kits, you just turn them down when you do these mechanical horrible exercises. I say to all my students in a really horrible way, but really, really nice. You're not special. So everyone's the same. Literally everyone is the same. We have the same brain, same arms, everything is the same. So anything you see your heroes do, you can do. And every question they've been through, you've been through. So I've been asked that question millions of times. The answer is always, have you practiced an actual flow-based exercise to develop your flow on the drum kit outside of the pattern? Because you kind of already answered your question. You said, I struggle to flow around the drum kit. So if you flip that question, have you ever practiced flow on the drum kit? Probably the answer is probably no. So if you did that for, what kit do you play? As in setup? Are you a sort of a 4-piece kind of guy, or are you a?
Tend to be one up, one down.
Cool. I will modify this exercise for that then. So I do the 3 exercises, and I like the idea of, I said do it for 5 minutes, but I would do 3 bass drum exercises, for example, straight after each other, working on different things. So whatever that is, maybe 3s, maybe this one, maybe that one, permutation stuff. I would also do 3 flow exercises, one after another, with no gap, because I've already in the practice diary.
So what would a flow exercise look like?
So, on a 3-piece kit, minus bass drum, best one I've ever found is super simple. It's just triplets, hand to hand, and you start on the floor tom. Then you go here, then you go here. Yeah, so. Practice pads on there are great. The reason I like electric drums is that I've actually programmed them so that that's an 808 cowbell, that's an 808 cowbell. So if I ever hit the rim, it goes boing right in my ear, like, okay, gotta be more accurate. So with the sole focus of, that requires 1% of your brain, so focus on the flow. Does it flow? So who do you think, what drummers do you think of when you think of flow? Who is the flowiest drummer in your brain?
Benny Graham.
Yeah. So visualize them when you're doing this, but also watch them with the sound off. And sort of mimic their emotion. So Jojo does this flicking thing, which I can't really demonstrate, but imagine. Or you can all come up, there's only 11 of you. So a key to flow is actually economy of motion. So I just do it between these 2 surfaces. whole month as the tempos increase, as the cleanliness increases, as I'm counting out loud, as I'm working on my metronome. Great tracks to play that to would be Leave Me Alone by Michael Jackson, I'm Your Baby Tonight by Whitney Houston, because they're just do that and then you can double it as you get going. That's a great exercise. I think, to be honest, that's the best. That's the best one I've found that's been easier to remember. You can do it for a long period of time. You just turn the thing off and then you're like, cool, right, just focus on it. And just tracking your tempos in a practice diary is super important, because that way you don't go over ground. With the sole focus of being flowy. So visualize, for me, it's Benny, it's Jojo a little bit, and it's definitely Weckl. He's just the flow, ninja flow man. So that's what I'm trying to visualize when I'm practicing. Other ones I like to do would be, if you're this, you could do a double paradiddle. Everyone know a double paradiddle? Even the non-drummers? Right, left, right, left, right, right, left, right, left, right, left, left. Usually comes with 1 or 2 accents. As you've already discovered today, it could come with 6. I'm going to do it with none. And the other one that I like is all singles around the kit, but it requires that tom, so. And honestly, man, this is why I like to practice on electric as well, because I can just turn it down and the neighbours have none the wiser of what I'm actually practicing, because I don't sound very good when I'm practicing. So you do those 5 minutes each, you track your tempos, you increase, and you just stick at it and you go like, this is not music, this is not music. I'm never going to use this in a gig. It's going to make me flow better. So that every single time you've practiced all these motions, so whenever you do any of those things, all you're focused on when it is the lick chop idea is the notes as they go by, not the mechanics of it. Again, we talked about the stage 1, stage 2, stage 3 idea very briefly, but stage 1 is a technical stage. Technically, that is holding you up, so work on it from a technical standpoint, not a musical standpoint. Because you can't work on flow while you're thinking about playing the combination ideas, because you've only worked on them on one surface. And the only other thing would be if you're doing mechanical exercises like right, left, kick, kick, also orchestrate at the same time. It's like a double win. It's like just using your left foot. It's a coordination challenge and a metronome, so you're working on your time and you're flowing around the drum kit because you're just really bored going right, left, kick, kick on one idea. And then from there, I think that'll spark some different ideas. You can do bigger motions if you wanted even more extremities, or you might change some variations. And as long as you're going both ways, it'll allow you to come back and forth. Next question?
Yeah, that's good.
Cool.
Thank you.
Anyone else? Cool.
Just, we talked a lot about musicality. Do you play another instrument?
Badly. I can play some chords on both a piano and a guitar. That's about it, really. I've kind of always been into recording, so I've got a little bit of a producer's idea on, but more than anything, I just like songs. So I grew up playing songs. So soul stuff, even though I'm a YouTube guy who plays YouTube licks, it's kind of not, like I play songs, and I like songs, I like singers, and I like to play good music, so that's playing a 2 and 4, kind of Vinny style. Vinny's one of my favourite drummers. Vinny call you if you don't know that, because he can play anything and make it sound amazing. So, whether it's the simplest thing. So no, I wish, we were talking about it before, like I wish I'd played piano when I was younger, because it's, but listening to the song, like, and hands up if you play functions here. Hands up if you kind of don't like the functions. If you're being entirely honest, if you're like,
Yeah.
I don't like to travel, I definitely don't like the 4 AM getting home, but find something in any song that you like, any song that you're playing that you kind of latch onto. So that has kind of flipped my head to being like, even the songs I don't like, I can find something I like. So the songs that I do like, there's so many bits of information. I wish I'd played piano. My dad played quite a lot of different stuff.
Musicality in the kits, some of the least technical drummers have been the most musical, finding the groove and not actually being technically, not being.
Yeah, totally. Because if you want to get very, very philosophical about it, the lack of, we talked about limitations before forcing creative, they cannot play the stuff, whether it's a case of they want to play that stuff, but they don't play it because they can't play it, so they go, it's rubbish, that guy's rubbish, Vinny's rubbish, he's terrible, Chris Coleman, he's terrible. Yeah. Or if they're just like, that just doesn't interest me, then their limitations of technical ability allows them to just focus on one particular thing. But I think the best drummers in the world have all the technical stuff, which is one of the reasons why I preach it, like learn all the stuff, to then use none of it and do this, and enjoy this. And just sit behind a ballad. Like, one of my best albums one of my favourite albums is Donny Hathaway. You know Donny Hathaway? Go check it out. It's got a 16-year-old Fred West on it, who played in Earth, Wind and Fire. And there's one of the tunes which is and just the space for the vocals and the organ and all the stuff, and everyone's working together to play musically. But I would class Vinny as a musical drummer. I would class Chris Coleman as a musical drummer. I would class Ringo as a musical drummer.
Exactly. Yeah.
I would class anyone in a band where they sell lots of records has to be a musical drummer because it works for music. So enjoy songs, it's my only advice. Listen to lots of different types of music, don't pigeonhole yourself, and steal like an artist. So John Bonham, you know so many John Bonham things and Dave Grohl things, and he stole them from jazz drummers. Like, that's the start of a Max Roach solo for Bristol. That was in the 30s, and Bonham stole it and put it to the masses. But yeah, musicality, you've got to listen to the song and find, like I was doing there, when I'm improvising, just as a total sort of rounding off, I might improvise with different parts of the song. So take the vocal and improvise with that 6/4 roll it, that right left kick thing, that single thing, that groove thing, that threes, and try and play the vocals on the bass drum while playing a groove. So you're listening to the vocals and you're trying to vocalize it. And maybe sing what you're playing. How many of you sing as you're playing? So the final stage would be to improvise, and the great way to improvise is sing as you're playing, because it's just like I'm not thinking about saying these words as they're coming out. You have to think about bass, and then bass, and then does lead me into very nicely, thank you very much, sir, into my last song, which is a song which thankfully has a click track on. I'm going to very slightly check that this isn't like a pitch drop thing. Can I just check this? Totally pitched up. Let's try a different way. Okay, this should still work. This one is called Slow, and it's from the last band I was in, which, again, it took a long time to get an album released. It's got my wife singing, and here what I'm going to do is I'm kind of going to riff on that musicality thing, hopefully. I'm going to play with the song. So I'm going to play the parts of the song, the hits, the vocals, the rap bit that's coming up. Damn right, we're going to rap, Bill. I'm going to play with my wife's vocals on there, and then I'm going to drum it at the end, and I'm going to mess around with the time a little bit, because musicality kind of is part of being a drummer. Because you're a musician who plays the drums, not a drummer who plays music. So if you're a musician, you focus on the music. If you're a drummer, you focus on the drums. And we don't need more drummers. We need more musicians. Because as you probably tell if you go on Instagram, there's plenty of drummers and not enough musicians. So, before we start, yeah, that's right, we'll just do that. Before I start, I'll try to get this working. I'd like to thank you for all coming, taking a chance on myself and AJ. Let's give AJ another round of applause. I'd like to thank Natal Drums for taking a punt on me and my silly YouTube videos, Evan's Heads again, and more importantly for today, for absolutely, saving the day, Drumazon. You've all got things, because they were able to help me out with the kit for hire for today, so it seems to be only an hour away. I thought it was a lot further, but Cardiff is only an hour away. So take a trip to a really cool store. They're doing some events, they're doing clinics, they're doing all the stuff, and they've got loads of nice drums. So I'm sure they would loan you a coffee as well. We will be going out for some PG rated fun. So if anyone has any questions while we're packing up, then feel free to ask. If you want to come out for a drink and hang out, because I'm here anyway, that'd be really cool. But thank you once again for coming.